There's a moment early on in Button City that really sells its narrative experience that it provides, and it's primarily a narrative game that it is. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, you used to go around people's houses and play like collectible card games or swap stickers or play marbles, pogs, top trumps, all of those kind of games. And it used to be quite an event, especially if you was in a playground and bored to tears. So what you'd be doing is gathering around, cheering on everyone else, and it would seem like the most dramatic thing going on if someone was like, "Oh my god, you've got a shiny," I'm thinking marbles here. And then all of a sudden, like, the dinner ladies would come and break you up, or you'd get a landline call for your mum and dad going, "You've missed dinner, you're grounded, get home now," all of that kind of stuff. And Button City evokes all of this and so much more with its story, because there are literally moments where everyone's like, "I'm going to beat you, you're horrible, you're a slime face," and all of a sudden they're like, the mum pops up and is like, "Get home, you're grounded," and they're all like, walking away. And I was just thinking, yes, this was my childhood in a nutshell. And that's what Button Sitting does. It places you in the role of Fennel, who's a shy fox who's just moved to the town. He discovers the local arcade, makes new friends, and gets through like little mini friend trials to get put on their team. And each arcade game that you get to play, and there's 3 of them in total, has like tournaments based off against each other, where you will face foes or get to pass challenges to join their team and make more friends. You'll traverse around Button City using a really cool kind of Slido decks, moving between dioramas that you can rotate around and talk to characters, move around, collect trash, and find little cute side quests. And what I would say is that is really cute and well fleshed out and thought out as well, because it's just cute to rotate the entire game around you. When you add to that the really well done, colourful, bright and poppy, low poly visuals, the cute and tweeny soundtrack that you've got going on, it all comes together in such a great vibe that you'll be diving into the story and absolutely loving every minute of it. And they nail that kind of older person looking back at how their childhood used to be style of humour, if that makes sense. I think young kids will really enjoy this too, but there's a certain element to it which is like strictly for adults looking back and going, "Yep, I remember that." Outside of that though, I'm afraid to say Button City started to disappoint me. And it all comes down to the arcade games that were available. Part of the selling point is you make out you don't make out, you make friends. God, that would be a different game altogether. You'd make friends with these diverse range of characters, and what I really liked about it is just how diverse there are. One of them's in a wheelchair, but nothing is made of the wheelchair at all. They're just there living their life, having fun as part of the gang, and it's their personality that shines rather than their disability, which I thought was really quite interesting. And other people have similar vibes with other kind of character traits or ideals. But once you hit the arcade and you're expected to play these 3 arcade games over and over to progress the story, here's where some of the rot starts to set in for me. There are 3 games available. The best one is called Goberbots, and it's the one that you have to play the most, thankfully. It's a MOBA light style game, but played locally with all of the different AI that you meet. And it's in teams of 4 versus 4. There's a blender in the middle, and there's 4 trees that develop fruit. And what you've got to do is shoot or hack down the tree, collect the fruit, and then run to the blender and throw the fruit in. And whoever's got the team with the most fruit thrown in the blender at the end wins. It's like a 3-minute timed match. You can unlock different Goberbots with different abilities and weapons, so therefore altering their playstyle slightly as you progress through the game. And you do that by playing all 3 arcade games and earning coins that you kind of exchange for prizes for more Goberbots, essentially. Or you can do like a Goberbots gacha machine where you can just unlock random ones for paying a certain fee. That's all good because it adds quite a lot of variety to the different people or Goberbots that you can play as, but fundamentally the game is really, really light. And so sometimes you can almost play without even crossing some of the AI competitors to even engage in combat, and you just run back and forth collecting fruit for 3 minutes. And because the AI is fine, but not hugely mammothly aggressive. They're quite a pushover to win against. So you have to kind of not suffer through it. It's just it gets stale and old quite quickly without any kind of twists to the game itself. But GoBots is by far the best. The other two games are completely broken. The second one is Revolution Racer, and it's a kind of mix-up of a Ridge Racer-y style game with inertial D or initial D handling. So it's a drift game. You zoom forward with your car. When you turn, you automatically go into a drift, but the drift is so understeery that you'll just smash into a barrier and just barrier scrape your way around the entire level every single time. You'll be doing this against one other AI opponent who is doing exactly the same thing. So long as you just turn and press boost on exit to do down the straights, you'll automatically bash it out the way and win. And it just feels, the aesthetics look great again, but the gameplay is absolutely atrocious. The third one though is really inexcusable, and it's Prisma Beats, and that's a rhythm action game. Now, firstly, a bit of a pet peeve from myself that probably jaded my rhythm action experience here a little bit. For every single game I've ever played that is Dance Dance Revolution styled with the 4 arrows, up, down, left, right, it is always going from left to right, left, up, down, right. And for some reason, Prisma Beats is the very first game I've ever played where it's left, down, up, right. So I spent the first 20 minutes of me playing the minigame trying desperately to rewire my brain from the past 20 years of playing these DDR games to think a different way, because I kept switching up and down the wrong way round. But that's not necessarily where the problems lie. The problems lie in the fact that the charts are atrociously written and don't match the music at all, and take into account very little to do with button presses and like spatial awareness and timing awareness. It also suffers from horrible frame rate drops as soon as the tracks get busy. And so your timing, although the timing is very forgiving, and it will just let you pass anyway, so long as you hit things with an okay, let alone a great or perfect. It's just really unsatisfying because you're missing things because of the frame rate drops. It feels awkward and wrong anyway. And it's symbols rather than arrows or buttons that match the controller. And the controllers, the colours on the symbols do not match the colours on an Xbox controller or a Switch controller or anything. So you're just like, what even is this? Very confusing. To try and alleviate some of these arcade game issues, you can collect costumes and accessories that you can equip that then unlock alternative modes. So for the rhythm game, there's like a double speed, which is even more broken, or it like speeds up the song, so it's like extra high pitched. There's also alternative modes that you can get in the racing one, where it's like all on wet weather tyres, or it adds in more than one opponent, or the speed of the car is now much faster. And with GoBots, there's alternative modes that you can play as well on there as you unlock these different things. Of course, by doing that, you're going to have to play the games quite a lot to unlock enough buttons, as it's called in the game itself, to then go and actually buy these things. So it's a little bit of masochistic playing these things quite a bit to unlock the juicy extras, but if you're invested in the game, then you can go and do it. Thankfully, the actual narrative game itself doesn't matter too much whether or not you win or lose by huge margins, and it's quite simple and easy to get through the base of what the narrative story is asking you to do. All of the kind of extra challenges that you've got are optional, but I do recommend trying them because actually there's quite a lot of additional characters and extra kind of backstory to Button City and all of its inhabitants that you discover as you go. So what I'm trying to say here is that Button City is all about its charm, aesthetic and story, and not about its gameplay in any way, shape or form. So my recommendation for this game is solely based on its story and narrative experience and vibe, not its gameplay. If you're coming here for the mini games, you will be disappointed. If you're coming here for story, 90s nostalgia and cutesy feels, then I think you'll still have some good fun with this. Just be aware that those mini games are not best in show. I've written reviews over on higherplanegames.com. Till then, you guys take care. Bye-bye. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/Higher Network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.